Chair, I have to start by saying that these were operational concerns that we had regarding the recent allegations made against the MPS and the management performance of the Sapphire unit. And I then have to start up by asking the Deputy Mayor, does he feel that he's in a position to answer questions about the operational functionality of the MPS Sapphire unit? If he's not, then basically I'll have to pass on my question.
No, you don't. I have a briefing note that runs into 2.5 pages. I read it and I found it very depressing. I am briefed on and can certainly provide you with the content of this 2.5 pages, if that would help. But I have read it and I've made some notes. But so I'm able to listen to what you have to say and try and do my best to answer the question.
Yeah, in putting on record the questions then, these were questions that would have been put to the Commissioner. And the first one is, have the problems in the Sapphire unit arisen because of capacity, monitoring, oversight, or why? Can you answer that question?
No, I can't.
This is a question I would have put to the Commissioner. The unit was put together to create a consistent approach. How is it then we find ourselves in a situation where it is public concern, it's in public debate, that the Commissioner has instigated an inquiry because something has desperately gone wrong when officers are making their own decisions as to what is a rape investigation? Do you think that there has been a failure in the centralised unit?
Well,
speaking on behalf of the Commissioner, would it be?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of the Commissioner. I can only speak as the appointee of the Mayor. The situation where I find myself 3 weeks into the job is that there has been well, first of all, on the briefing note, which I read last night, I have to say it's a shocking situation. The issues that you're trying to raise with regard to the Sapphire Command. And interestingly enough, though, we could start off by saying that there's been an increase in the reporting of rape, which potentially is that we're seeing more people confident of coming forward. But the issues around the consistency of how that's handled, and also some of the issues that have now, most recently, I think one case that's been referred to the IPCC, indicate that there must be systemic problems and process issues. But I haven't been taken through or been briefed on the action plan, which awaits my sign-off. But I think all of those questions that you raised, clearly that there must be concern when you see that the research in this area indicates that 1 in 3 victims is aged below 18, 1 in 6 victims is noted to have a mental health issue, and 1 in 3 victims has consumed alcohol, drugs prior to the rape. I mean, I read these statistics as just an ordinary Londoner now, not even an elected politician, and I find it profoundly depressing. Yeah. And I think we need to ensure that something as important as Project Sapphire has all the control processes in place and the right leadership to see that there is consistency and professionalism.
Yeah. If I could just say to you, Stephen, and refer you refer for your information, the Metropolitan Police Authority made some recommendations in September 2011, okay. And that was regarding the concerns that was highlighted then about the centralisation of this service. Because this was on a premise that there was failure in some parts of the boroughs. Some boroughs weren't able to do this. Now, what we have got now is an example of this same thing happening within this unit. You talked about a systematic review, but as I understand it, the Commissioner was just talking about looking at specific cases and made a call out to, they were victims, they're now survivors of either attacks or rape, to come forward because the confidence in that area of work is so low.
Okay.
I mean, what are you going to do about this? That's what I would be asking the Commissioner.
At the moment, MOPAC's activity is a draft rape action plan, and I have not been briefed on that. What I would like to do is, outside this meeting, spend some time and work through something that makes sure that this action plan has bite and raises the issues that which I've noted already, the issues that you've raised in previous recommendations from the Metropolitan Police Authority. I think you said in September 2011.
Yes,
and make sure the action plan covers all the areas of concern that you would like to have raised with the Commissioner at today's meeting.
Okay, well, can I just then add, and this is to the empty chair that the Commissioner would be sitting in, how many women have come forward to have their cases reviewed? Given that they had a rogue DC deciding what would go forward and what wouldn't. In what way are you going to continue to contact women? Because this is an area where you don't just see a call and decide, I'll come forward. We know about the complexity in this area. How many cases have had to be reopened as a result of DC Coleman Farrow? This was the officer who was arrested on June 8. I believe there's been other arrests. It would be nice to know how many more arrests have arisen as a result of this. And who is the police service working to offer support to the women who have come forward to have their cases reviewed? I just find it absolutely unbelievable that we could be in this position today, and I'm raising these questions with you. I have to put on record I've also raised some of these questions with AC Simon Foy, who I believe is the head of this service.
Well, Jennette, I think you're right to feel a sense of outrage, because I read this briefing paper last night. Perhaps I should have read it the night before, but I read it last night, and I think it's a shocking indictment. It sounds like this is an area that we would want to see very dramatic and positive change. And I would welcome the opportunity of working with you to ensure that MOPAC's, what is now a draft rape action plan, covers all the issues that concern you and other Assembly members.
Okay, and my last question is, and I just want to know, on a common sense level, it's my understanding that it takes the signature of an Assistant Commissioner to authorise putting out a notice that says, come forward if you have any information because there has been an incident. You don't have to put rape on it, but where there has been an incident of rape, as there was in Regent's Park, when they had a clear-cut identity profile of the perpetrator, no such call was made, and women were then exposed and were left running in this park without any knowledge that there was a rapist there in that park. And that decision was made, and it's based on the fact that it's one Metropolitan Police officer whose signature is needed to put out a notice asking for witnesses to come forward. How ridiculous is that?
Well, I think you raise a very important point, which goes to the heart of the culture of any organisation. Now, if we just think about what drives culture, often it's the people, it's the processes, it's the information, it's the organisation structure, it's the rewards and incentives, but it's also the decision-making. And the feeling that I've had, and the one conversation I've had with Len, is the decision-making process is often inappropriate or it takes too long. And I think we need to review that. And that's something that we should be taking and putting into what is now still a draft action plan, and ensure that we review all aspects, to ensure that what we have is a structure that works for London. It's ridiculous to have a situation where through a sign-off you're essentially blocking what needs to be a rapid and timely decision. You need to get that right. I agree with you.